9:02 a.m. I'm going to call this special city council meeting to order. Would the city secretary please call the roll?
Mitchell.
Here.
Rizzo. Florentan.
Here.
Bradshaw. Parsley.
Here.
Tobias.
Here.
All right, 4 members present. We have a quorum. Next up, citizen comments period. At this time, we ask anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on any item to please do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you direct those comments to the mayor and council. We also ask that you fill out a citizen comments form and submit that to either myself or the city secretary. I have quite a few folks who have registered to speak. I will call up the first, Neil Stigall.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. My name is Neil Stigall. I've made application for a seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I have been a resident of Texas for 46 years. My wife and I have lived in Kyle for 3.5. My stepdaughter, her husband, and 4 children have lived here for 15 years. I'm a graduate of UT Austin and graduate degree in counseling and social work. And also as an undergrad, I received graduate credit for a course in urban ecology and land use. But more importantly, I'm a graduate of Team Kyle Academy. A very useful program, one we very much enjoyed, all of us, and that opened up the possibility for me to sit in on Planning and Zoning Commission meetings as well as City Council meetings and see how the issues of development, zoning, and land use were being discussed here in the government. I began to see how exactly what the charges were to the commission in their operation and the nature of the relationship between the council and the commission. I understand that the commission serves at the pleasure of the council, but I would also like to say that I see that the citizen volunteers on the commission actually serve the larger community as well. I was able to track individual applications for rezoning and other kinds of issues during the course of time that I attended the commission meetings, was able to see actually cases that were further referred to the council for discussion and action. So I got to see that process clearly in the limited time that I was able to participate. I did also dive into the comprehensive 2017 plan and several aspects of that, and could see, quite frankly, that it may have met the needs at the time, but we are really striving to keep up with the demands on our community. So I had that kind of experience. It was very fulfilling, and I decided to throw my hat into the ring here today. Relevant experiences that I served on an architectural control committee for an HOA and for 8 years, and participated in the review and approval and disapproval of multiple custom builds for homes and improvements, and helped create a collaborative process whereby builders and homeowners were quite clear about what the covenants were and how they could apply them to their own situation. Much more collaborative process. Also, I served on a water company board in the Hill Country, an elected position, and served as an officer for 4 years. So I think that's some relevant experience, generally as a volunteer. My observation is that we're riding the crest of a huge wave of growth. I think we all understand that. And there's a lot of energy in that. And I think we can capture that energy and use it to our own benefit, or perhaps it could toss us aside. But I think we can capture that energy and make this a livable environment and sustain a livable environment, and making it welcoming community. More importantly, I think we can continue to develop equitable access to public spaces and to retail and commercial operations for all, and really pay attention to how this community develops over these next several years. I would like to see this be a community which can continue to be a good place for my grandkids to be raised. I would also like to see this a community in which I might get old one day. So I appreciate your attention and ability to speak to you today. Thank you.
Our next up, Victoria Freitas.
Close, super close.
Not really.
Hey.
You're kind.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Freitas. I have been a resident of Kyle for a little over a year. I've been in the Austin area for over 11 years. I am a single mom that did the unthinkable. I got 2 teenage boys up on a Saturday morning in here. Hayes class 26 and 27. I am a communications consultant for Charles Schwab and have got a career longer than I want to admit, because then you can start doing the math. I'm here because the community is important to me. I'm here because I made the choice to move to this area. I'm here because I want my children to have an area that they come back to year after year. I'm here because I want to be a voice for my neighbors. I live in hometown Kyle. We have a big neighborhood. I am here because I want to see thoughtful planning about what happens. I would like to be on the Economic and Tourism Board. I think that we know growth is coming. I do not think that we have any understanding of how much growth is coming. I lived in the northern Austin area for a very long time. We had 1 HEB, and when I left, we had 4. So I know that it's coming, and I want to be here to listen to our community members. I want to be here to figure out what the best plan is, but more importantly, I just want to serve. I think that it's a shame that it can take us 30 or 40 minutes just to get across 35. I think we have to think about that. I think we have to think about the safety of our children walking to and from schools now, crossing roads that don't have stop signs anymore. I think we really have to think about where we want our family to be. So that is why I would like to be on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Maria Landrum.
Good morning, Mayor and Council members. My name is Mary Landrum. Maria, I go by Mary. I have been a Kyle resident for almost 3 years, but here in Texas pretty much most of my life. I come before you today interested in serving my community. My application does list 3 boards, but I'm simply looking to serve on just one. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my experience. So I have always had a passion for family, for work, and for serving others. As the oldest in my family, I have felt the responsibility to set the example, striving for wisdom, courage, and also strength to live in ways that are worth following, especially for my siblings. I have a close-knit family, so much that when my husband and I moved to Kyle, my mom, my sister, and one of my brothers followed us here, making Kyle also their home. Work is also an important part of my life, a second family, you could say. I've been entrusted with much responsibility, both as an employee and as a leader, something that I don't take lightly. I serve as the director for healthcare business management for the Texas Department of Insurance, Division of Workers' Compensation, and I know that's a mouthful. I have been with the agency for almost 15 years. Serving as a public servant has been an honor, but certainly it comes with lots of challenges. Serving in this capacity has taught me perseverance, patience, and mindfulness. I'm very cognizant that the decisions that I make every day affect not just me, those that report to me, but also Texans. Because of my roles and responsibilities, the Team Kyle core values of knowledge, attitude, leading edge, and employee accountability, they resonate with me. But finally, serving others has been part of my life since I was a young girl. I have volunteered in many capacities for various causes and organizations. I enjoy helping others, giving of myself that which I have been blessed with, as well as having the opportunity to pay it forward. I would like to serve the city of Kyle in some capacity. I feel that's important, but also because I do come from a big family, setting the example for my nieces, for my nephews, and other family members. I want to also serve along others that share the same passion that I have. Earlier this year, just like Neil, I had the opportunity to participate in the Team Kyle Academy. This academy program, a 7-week program aimed to inform residents about the city of Kyle, with hopes to create a more connected, public service-focused community. This amazing opportunity has left me eager to engage in the community and become part of Tile in its rapid growth. So in closing, I hope that my experience, knowledge, and skill set can be utilized in one of the available positions. Just by hearing others, obviously, there's a lot of people interested in this too, right? So thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
You said you were just looking for one position. You didn't name what that was.
So I applied for to be on the library board, also the Parks and Recreation, or Planning and Zoning, and whichever.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, I would be more than happy to serve.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay if I ask like which one? Like
That's what I just asked.
Yeah,
I think she just meant she was just willing to serve on
one.
any
Anyone?
just
Okay.
single,
Yeah.
not wanting
Yeah,
to
I
be
didn't know
on
if there was a
multiples.
priority.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Of course, if you want me in all three, I can
Right,
find the
understood.
time. Thank you very much.
All right, next up is Jessica Robinson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Robinson, and I am a candidate for the library board. This April, this council selected me to fill an interim vacancy on the library board, seat number 1. And in the months that I have served on the library board, I've gained a strong understanding of the library's long-term strategic plan, as well as its short-term projects. In the midst of high board turnover and a leadership transition for the library, I'm seeking appointment for a full-term seat now on the library board because I know how important continuity is in maintaining the positive momentum that we have with the library. Secondly, I'm seeking reappointment because my education and my experiences have equipped me with knowledge and skills that will make me a continued asset to this library board. My professional career has been centered on literacy and education. I have a master's degree in library and information science, and I have professional experience working as a youth services librarian, as a literacy consultant with a federal grant, and as a high school English teacher. I currently work at Texas State University in the College of Education, teaching courses on literacy and on education. My prior volunteer and community leadership positions, which include serving on the Hayes CISD Gifted and Talented Education Advisory Council, participating in the American Library Association's National Library Advocacy Program, and serving as a volunteer soccer coach for the Hayes Youth Soccer Association, show my history of commitment to this community and the ways in which my personal values align with the mission of this library. Lastly, I'm seeking reappointment just because I love and use this library, and I really want to continue helping to make it the best it possibly can be. I want to thank you all for the opportunity that I've already had in serving on the library board in an interim position, which has been a pleasure and an honor. And also thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning on my desire and qualifications to be appointed for a full term. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next up, Spencer Copeland.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Spencer Copeland. I'm a new resident here of Kyle, moved here just shy of a year ago, and believe that citizens are responsible to serve the community in whatever capacity that they can. I've volunteered for the Public Library Board as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, whichever committee that the council deems more appropriate. I'm happy to serve in whatever capacity you deem appropriate. I have served previously in both the Public Library Board of the City of Huntsville. I also have served as the student regent for the Texas State University system at the appointment of Governor Abbott. I'm happy to serve in whatever way that I can. I just want to volunteer for the city and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, James Stanfield.
Good morning. Is that working? James Stanfield, 3-year Kyle resident, 10 years a Texan now, which is strange. Small business owner, I own the bike shop here in town. Put in an application for the Parks Board. I grew up spending time outdoors. I would like to see more people spending time in enjoyable spaces outdoors. Some self-serving interest with the bike shop. I think the parks and spaces having trails and things where I could ride my bike would be nice instead of having to go to Austin or San Marcos. Having that here in our backyard would be dandy. Lots of experience. I've been to 35 countries. I started a nonprofit that is very well known within the bike industry. I serve on a board at the cycling Olympic level, and I am a coach at the Hayes County cycling program here in Hayes County. I have no other comments. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. We've had some interactions on email or public space, but passionate about what I do. When I get behind it, I get it done.
Thank you. Next up, Julia Fishback.
Good morning, Council. My name is Julia Fishback. I am applying to be on the Parks and Recreation Board. I am a lifetime Texan, and I've been in Kyle for the past 9 years. We moved here in 2013. I work at Hayes High School over here as an instructional coach for the science department. So my job is entirely facilitating collaboration among adults in pursuit of a common goal for our children. I think my experience would lend myself well to this commission because I have the ability to work with students, adults, community members, stakeholders across the community to, make sure that we have the right tools in place to accomplish common goals. I have previous experience in healthcare administration prior to becoming a teacher, so I have also gone through planning, budgeting, and the ultimate opening of new doctor's offices in the Austin area. So I have kind of a background in that bureaucratic aspect as well as in the community aspect required for this role. That's all I got.
Thank you. Next up is Austin Sutherland.
Good morning. My name is Austin Sutherland, and I'm an applicant for the Planning and Zoning Board. In a professional capacity, I serve as an enforcement attorney at the Texas Department of Insurance Division of Workers' Compensation. I believe public service is important, and that's why I chose the line of work that I've chosen, and why I've put forward my name into the applicant pool for the Planning and Zoning Board. I've lived in this area my entire life. That's 34 years, with the exception of when I went to law school. I did leave the state for 3 years, but I quickly came back as soon as the pandemic began. I've watched this town go from being a one red blinking light town to becoming one of the fastest growing towns in the fastest growing county in the United States. So I have at least some understanding of the unique challenges and the unique characteristics of our town, and I echo some of the other applicants' beliefs that we need to capture that growth, and I hope that you'll consider me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Joe Torres.
I'm 4'10" and 3/4, so. Hi everyone, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Joy Torres, and I am applying for my singular focus, the library board. I have been a resident of Kyle for almost 7 years, which feels really rude to think about when 2016 feels like yesterday. The fact that I've already lived here for 7 years and made it my home. I first moved to Central Texas almost almost 20 years ago, and went to college at University of Texas. I spent 12 years in public service working at the University of Texas at Texas State, San Marcos, and at St. Edward's University, and I've spent the last few years in tech. That's kind of a rundown of my education background. I was certified to be an English language arts and reading teacher for 8 through 12. But I took my passions and used them in the university level to be an instructor and to work with students outside of the classroom. But really I want to talk about why libraries are important. In my last cycle in April, I talked to you all about, in that very, very wildly competitive April special session for boards, I talked about libraries as this really important place where it's one of the few places in a community where you can go and you do not have to buy anything, you do not have to believe anything, you can just be there. And I still believe that, and I think it's so important not only to have libraries, but to support them, to serve them in any capacity. I bring a lot of technical skills, a lot of programming skills, a lot of management skills. I love a budget. Give me a spreadsheet. I will review a doc. I will do anything for the library board. And so policies and processes are really important to me. And so while I enjoy libraries and I'm a patron of the library, I want to be able to serve in a less sexy way and a less fun way, some might argue, but a more important way to make sure that libraries can be a sanctuary, a space for all community members. And as we scale as a community, making sure that libraries are within reach for especially all kids and all families that are looking for information, resources, and a place to just be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Alex Guerra.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. My name is Alex Guerra. I am currently serving as the Chairman of Planning and Zoning. I am not up for reappointment this year, but I did want to speak on a few things. First, Tuesday will be Vice Chair McCall's final meeting. She is going to term out this time. She has served for 4 years, and I'm very thankful for her service to our city. I would suggest you all reach out to her, as well as any of the other board members who are terming out, and thank them for the years of service they've given to our city. Second, I want to say thank you to everyone who applied. There are so many great qualified applicants. And lastly, I want to voice my support for both Mario Mata and Brandon James as they apply for reappointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Sarah Onken.
I'm so impressed you said my name right. That never happens. Yes. Well done. So good morning. My name is obviously Sarah Onken, and I've been a resident of Kyle for a little over a year now. And as I've watched my own neighborhood come up and others around the city, I've become interested in how Kyle plans to navigate through this period of rapid growth. And that's what brings me here today. So my professional background is in audits and risk assessments, so I'm quite used to digging around in numbers and doing research into making cost-benefit recommendations for work. In the context of planning and zoning, I'm particularly interested to understand what the long-term infrastructure and service costs would be, as well as the expected tax revenues for the type of land use and how those would offset each other. So while I don't have any formal links to planning and zoning as a subject, I don't necessarily believe that that would be the be-all, end-all. I've been to a number of historic cities where people with no formal training or modern design education built places that are still considered beautiful and loved and practical. And I think that the vehicle-centric cities in which we live are a very new concept, and there's already some signs that it might not be a successful development pattern in the long term. So I think we can learn a lot by looking around at places that have been tested and refined over hundreds or thousands of years of human living experience. And yeah, that's what I would like to help do on this board, is to mindfully and fiscally responsibly help Kyle fill in and become a place that resonates with people today, as well as generations from now as well. So I hope that gives you a better picture about me and what I'm about. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next up is Julianne Orgish.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julianne, but I do go by Julie. I've been a resident and homeowner in Kyle since February 2021. I actually moved in a day before Snowvid, and I did not lose electricity, so I started off on a good foot. But I've lived in Central Texas for 9 years. I want to be more involved with the city that I call home. My most recent experience with the city was protesting my property taxes. The overall experience was a good one, but it had me wanting a better understanding on how decisions are made within the city. From my personal experience, the best way to learn is to get where the decisions are being made. I have extensive experience with reviewing and writing contracts, reviewing proposals, and putting together budgets within a government agency. With my experience, I would be able to provide a wealth of knowledge for various decisions, issues, proposals that are put before the city. The city council is making what they think are the best decisions for the city. However, I'm unsure that they're getting proper information to make the truly best decisions. I would like to serve on a commission. I put in for planning and zoning and parks and recreation to ensure the city council is getting the best and most up-to-date information. Examples of some issues are flooding on Button Creek, traffic by Lehman High School, and the roundabout that had to be rebuilt shortly after it was put up. Most recently, I drove past the Heroes Memorial Park that just had its blue ribbon cutting. What a great tribute to our nation's heroes. I believe the city has the best interest at heart for its citizens. I run a change control board at work, and what I find is you can have very great ideas, but we all have blind spots that you don't see until you bring them before others who aren't so intimately involved in the project. By being on a board for the city, I would help close any blind spots from some very great ideas that are coming to the city. I believe the city of Kyle is a great place to be. The amount of growth and opportunity is endless, and I would like to be part of the opportunity that is here in abundance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mario Mata.
Good morning, councilmen and councilwomen. My name is Mario Mata, but I go by Mario Junior at home. That's my parents. Been a lifelong Texan, I guess. Been a citizen of Kyle since 2007. So we don't have any plans on going anywhere. We love the city. We've seen it. Remember as a kid driving from South Texas to Austin, we'd pass by Kyle. There was the rest area and Dairy Queen and the bus barn. I was like, oh my God. And now it's like, it's grown, but that's good. There's a lot of ups and downs that come with growth, but I think being I'm asking to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm currently serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, so I'd like to, I'm asking to be reappointed for a full term. So with that planning, with all the ups and downs that come with growth, I'd like to be part of that to continue to help Kyle to be the best city in Texas. So I've been, like I said, been on the board since April. I'm asking to be reappointed. I'm just asking, I really I've learned a lot that goes on development. It's not just, people want to come in, but I think if we have a responsible planning and zoning plan, we can make Kyle the best. People want to come here. I mean, I understand, people are having to leave Austin because it's really expensive and they want to come to Kyle. Hey, we welcome them, but we got to make sure we do this right. We can't just we're going to go build here. You got to, take, what did it say? Rome wasn't built in a day, so we just got to take our time and then we can meet that. So I guess, that was kind of quick. I didn't write anything down. If there's any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer those.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Eddie Brown.
Good morning, Mayor Mitchell, esteemed council members, staff, and my neighbors. It's an honor to be before you today. I am here today to express my interest in continuing to serve as a member of the Economic Development and Tourism Board, where I represent industry with my seat. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my daughter for sharing me with the city of Kyle. Way to go, babe. I'll also tell you, Mayor, that with the permission of staff, I had her sit in your chair this morning.
Oh, yeah?
We talked a little bit about, she asked me, are we in court, Daddy? She said, but we're so close to the police station, are we in trouble? So I shared with my daughter that we're close to the police station and we're very safe. And this is a room where great things happen. So it's been an honor to be a member of this board. I am, they say, I'm not native to Texas, but I got here as fast as I could, and we love it. I have a business here, two businesses here actually in Kyle. When I was recruited to come here by the Economic Development and Tourism Board, I was overwhelmed with community spirit, the teamwork that was shown by everybody who helped us bring our headquarters to this great town. This is a place where great things have happened, and I've learned quite a bit from the mentors that I have on the board. They're inspiring to me, and I would love to continue to serve. If the board, if council and the mayor and staff will have me, I'd be happy to serve and promise to be a zealous and contributing member. Happy to answer any questions or concerns anyone may have.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it very much. All right, that's all the citizen comments forms that I have. Is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close citizen comments. Citizen comments is now closed. All right, next up is agenda item number 1, consider and discuss applications of applicants that have submitted intent to serve on one or more city boards or commissions by completing a boards and commissions application for expired and midterm vacancies. This is not the action item. The actions item is number 2, so I don't know how y'all did this last time, but is there a preference on how y'all want to do this?
I think we started from the top, Mayor, and went down. Right off the bat, this is Tobias. I want to thank everybody for coming out this morning on this Saturday, for taking the time to apply as well. As you can see, we have a lot of interest in all our boards and the commissions. And so reviewing these for the past couple of weeks, it's been very exciting, but also challenging because there's so many people that I feel that are really are qualified and want to take part in these planning for our city. So I think what we did last time, Mayor, is we just went by the individual seats that are available. And we went through and we discussed the people that were interested, and we just kind of went through their qualifications, or just their not so much, but their recommendations, and we chose from there accordingly. And I guess like the first one would be the arts commissions, and we would just go down the list.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was thinking was probably. I just didn't understand why there was 2 items, and so
Yes.
if there was a discussion
And
item first.
there were some questions I think Councilmember Flores Kale had on some of the applications, and just to also clarify and making sure that we have everything in a row to where there's.
All right, well, we'll go through that first, and then we'll get in on the applications themselves. Councilmember Flores Kale.
All right, thank you. And this question, most of these are going to be for staff. To begin, there is an application for John Bloomfield. Who would I talk to about the applications that we received? Like, who processed was commission? Well, let me double check. He was not eligible, it said, or qualified?
I think Taylor Bennett from our Human Resources
Councilmember.
Department is on virtually.
Okay.
Yes, I'm online. This is Taylor Bennett, for the record, HR generalist. Let me pull up his application for you so I can give you a little bit of clarification. Okay, so on his notes that I had, he was not inside the ETJ and not applying for a business representative. And to my knowledge, that was the only seat eligible for that board and commission.
Okay, he was not applying for the Economic Development Board. He was applying for the Parks and Recreation Board.
Okay, and since, oh, well then that might have been my mistake. I apologize. Let me double check that then. Let me make sure that his address is in the zone, in the city limits.
Yeah, I think he is, because what disqualified him was that he was within at least the ETJ.
Let me double check that why I marked him that way, because I know him and I did have a conversation.
So for future applications, maybe because I think what he did is he answered a question that was not relevant to his application. So I don't know what the city can do to make sure that these applicants don't automatically disqualify themselves, so we don't run into an issue like this. Because I'm sure if you had a conversation with him, he probably he would have been here.
Yes, ma'am. I will have to look back further to determine why he was deemed ineligible based on my notes.
Okay. Well, the reason why I wanted to bring him up is because if he is eligible, I would like to consider him for the boards and commissions. I would hate to move forward when we have an application.
Yes, ma'am. So if he is stating then interest for the Parks and Recreation Board, and his address for his address listed does fall within the city limits, then he would be eligible for the particular board that he stated interest for.
Okay, so I guess we just need to make sure that council is aware of that. So if you want, I don't know if we want to take a minute to look at his, I just looked at his application. I don't know if he has a resume.
Yes, ma'am. We will, Taylor, if you need help finding out if they're in the city limits, Will can help you with that, and we'll work on that and get an answer by the time Parks and Rec comes up.
Okay, and then I also want to confirm the openings for Park and Rec. It says on the spreadsheet that we received that there's one opening, but it looks like seat 2 and seat 6 are both up. So do we have 2 openings or 1? 2, okay. So we have 2 openings for, I just want to clarify that whenever we take our votes. And then the last thing is going to be for economic development. It looks like there are 2 applicants whose eligibility is unknown. And I was just wondering if we could figure out if they are eligible or not before we move forward. It looks like Heather Massey and then Humberto Arguin, sorry.
Yes, ma'am. We will work on that.
Okay. I think those are all I will say there were some applications that just were not in our system. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but as I'm going through, there was 21. Was there, I guess we should confirm this prior to, but I only counted 21, and there were 1, 2, 3.
I only have access to 18.
I think you have to, it's go from qualified to disqualified.
Still, for both, show 18.
Okay. I show, 18 now. There were 21 when I printed it off. So I don't know what's going on. There were several of these, and I actually noted it during citizens' comments. There were several people who showed up whose applications were not in the system.
Taylor, do you have any insight?
There's 4 to be exact.
I would have to go back and check how many were listed in the agenda packet. There are 31 applications that are grouped in the Boards and Commissions Application 2022 section. 3 of those are listed under a disqualified, but I do believe based on your review that one of those will not meet, and then the remaining 29 should be eligible for a board or commission role that they selected. Let me go and refer to the packet to determine who you may be missing.
I can email that to you. Okay, so I don't know how the council wants to proceed.
Is there any way we can take a 10-minute break so we can get this going? Because there's 4 that I cannot.
Well, there's 29 in the backup. So I don't know what, I guess y'all are using that portal, but the backup material has got 29 applicants
Okay.
with links and applications all listed.
And that would be correct based on my initial assessment of who was eligible, would be the 29. But I can email you the additional Bloomfield that may not have been included that may now be eligible.
So in the email that you guys are referencing, the 29, does that also have the application and the backup material or just the names? Because I have names, but when I go to look at the applications, those are not in the portal.
Do you have a name?
Yes. So for example, James Stanfield was not in there, Austin Sutherland, Joy Torres.
Yep, Austin Sutherland, James Stanfield.
Their applications are in there?
Yep.
All the applications, I believe, are included in the packet.
Is that the email with the 2 attachments and then the link at the bottom to click on?
I'm not aware of an email, but I think if you go to the packet online, I think they're,
It's in the backup material on the posted agenda.
yes.
I was using the emails that were sent to us and the link that was sent to us. So from now on, for future, we should just go to the agenda?
We will make sure just go to the agenda, yes.
Okay, all right.
I have a quick question. So for planning and zoning, I know the chair just mentioned that there is a seat that is going to be open. Is that included in the 4 seats that we have open? Or is that gonna be an additional one? No, okay, thank you. Thank you.
So to clarify, when that person eventually, for me, if you don't mind, thank you, Will.
Will Atkinson, Director of Planning, for the record. So we have 4 vacancies. One of our members moved away. Another one, her term is expiring. And we have 2 that are reappointments. And they all end on September 30th.
So it's going to be all 4 or all 5?
4.
4, okay, so the 4, 2, 3, 4, and 6.
Offhand, I don't know the specific seats, but there's
Yeah,
4
that's
vacancies.
what I show here for section E. Okay, all right, good. With that, Mayor, I'd like to be able to go ahead and make a recommendation for A, the Arts Commission seat number 7. I would like to make a recommendation for Victoria Weiders to be able to serve on the Arts Commission. While reviewing her, reviewing her application and her experience that she has with her current employment, shows that she would do a good job as far as being able to break down a lot of the statistics that we would need and be able to help with the with some of her organizational skills that I saw in the planning, and whenever we could bring any kind of items that we have, or maybe tourism to the city, that she could be able to help on that board, look at new ideas in different ways where we can add those to our city. So I would like to make a recommendation for Ms. Friedrich for the Arts Commission seat number 7.
Second, but I'd like to discuss.
So we're just going to motion and vote? Is that, all right, that's how we're going to do
Or
it?
that's one of mine. If anybody else has any others, they can add as well. That's
Yeah, we
gonna
need
be
to
my
at least know
recommendation.
who all the nominees
Yes.
are, who everyone's going to, before we
And-
take votes.
And in this, in the arts one, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, including Miss Victoria, that are unknown for eligible. Because this one is very specific. It says the business appointee shall own or be employed in a business within the city limits or ETJ of the city. So can staff confirm if the three that say unknown are eligible or not?
It's for the economic development
No, the
and
art-
tourism.
art
Arts
No, it's
Commission?
art, so it'd be the interim library director.
Yes, let me look into it.
That's how we did it last time, Mayor, is just that each one of us would say, this is, when it comes to the specific seat, we would give the recommendation to, before, if there's like two or three. we would
Right,
list
it was
yeah.
the second, the recommendation was good, it was the second, which then puts a motion
Puts a
in a
motion,
vote.
yes.
And then there's no one else who even gets a chance to make a nominee for one seat.
Exactly.
And so then I'm in a position where I don't know who all the rest of council wants.
Exactly. Yeah, so
It's really just, like, I've got that, and then does anyone else have another one? And
Exactly.
then we'll have the
Yes.
the motion vote.
Okay, sounds
Councilmember
good.
Parsley.
I would like to suggest that Gerald Curtin be in the Arts Board. I think he has a background that will be beneficial for the Arts Commission. I know he's not present, but
He's also unknown. So I think we should probably
is.
figure out first if these people are eligible.
My thoughts were to start with the harder commissions.
I agree.
Like P and Z first,
makes
because
sense.
there are folks who, I think at the last meeting were, hoping for one, missed it. And, it's just one of those things where I think the most interest is in P and Z, and that's where the liveliest
agree.
discussion. Maybe that'll give some time for some research to find out between those two applicants to confirm that they are eligible. Amber? On the Arts Commission, Gerald Curtin and Victoria Freitas, Vicky, right? If their eligibility. If there's
And
a
Heather
way to-
Massey.
And Heather Massey.
So should we, that was a motion and a second. What should we do? Brittany?
Well, we're not even on we haven't even opened up the item that has, I've only opened up the first item, which doesn't
Okay,
have a
good.
call to action. So
Okay.
if y'all just want to withdraw, but
I
we've got
withdraw.
it noted. All right.
Yeah, if we could just note that, if you want to
Yeah.
start with P and Z, Mayor, if that's what you want to start with,
We'll just-
that's fine. I just wanted to, when it came to that one seat, I just wanted it, that
This is
would
just going to be
on it.
really challenging, folks. There's four of
Yes.
us here. We have to all agree on all these positions. We didn't get
Yes.
to interview anyone, so no one got to actually come and have a panel ask you questions or anything like that. So we're going off resumes and 3-minute talks. So it's just, and then we have to agree unanimously. So it's going to be tricky.
may I make a suggestion? So if we start with planning and zoning, are we, each of us is going to nominate 4 people for this board, and then we'll have a discussion and then do a vote?
We can not, the way I would say it is you can nominate whoever you want. So everybody can put as many people up for a vote as you want. I don't intend to nominate 4. I intend, well, yeah, actually, I guess I do.
I would say there's only 4 openings, so
Four-
maybe,
I
maybe for the
intend to nominate
openings.
1 per opening. You're right, 4 in total,
Okay.
if you want, or we can just,
And then
do
we
it
can
another-
do the vote on the same candidates? Is that how
I think that's what we
are
did
gonna
last
do
time.
it? I
Yep.
think that's, okay, let's move in,
Because how,
9:50.
if I can remember how we did it before, council, we have, let's use planning and zoning, for example. We have 4 seats that are available. So we would choose, okay, for seat number 2, this is Tobias's recommendation, this is Parsley's recommendation, mayor and so forth. And then we have it, if this is who we feel, and then we go from there. And then we help, because we would have to basically put these individuals in their seats and say, for seat 2,
Right.
for seat 4,
Yeah,
for seat
exactly.
6.
Yes.
This is who my recommendation would be.
yeah,
for
we'll go
this.
basically go one at a time.
Yes, and because we would have to do Parks Board, seat number 2, this would be my recommendation, and maybe Ms. Parsley has somebody else that she would like for seat 2 and seat 6.
Okay. I'm going to bring up agenda item number 2, consider a possible action of nominations and appointments to boards and commissions. That's Arts and Commission, seat 7, Economic Development and Tourism, 4 seats, Library Board, seats 1, 3, 5, and 7, Parks and Rec Board, seats 2 and 6, and Planning and Zoning Board, seats number 2, 3, 4, and 6. And with the Planning and Zoning, We could start with the two reappointment seats. Seat number 2, I'm in favor of reappointment of Mr. Mata. Does anybody have a different
I
item for
have
that?
him down. Yep, I have him as a yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve Mario Mata to seat 2.
Second?
Second.
Motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Flores Kale. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 4-0. All right, next up would be seat 6, Brandon James. I'm of the same opinion. Is there anyone who wishes to make a different discussion
No.
item there?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Brandon James to seat number 6.
Second? It's been motioned and seconded. Is there discussion? Go
I
ahead.
just wish he was here.
Yeah.
I'd like to see reappointments. I'm sorry. Good. I'm glad. Give me an opportunity to answer that.
Will Atkinson for the record. Mr. James had an emergency. He had to be called into work unexpectedly, so that's the reason he's not here.
Has he been consistent in making the meetings he's called to?
Yes.
And he's super vocal, and I do appreciate that. Anybody that's on these boards and commissions, the more work you do, the less work we have to do. And so I really would appreciate whoever we put on these boards be very thorough.
Yeah. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 4-0. All right, now we will go to seat number 3, and we'll entertain motions. Councilmember Flores Kale.
Because he is so familiar with the city, and I would like to see a little bit of history preserved, especially in the downtown, I would like to nominate Austin Sutherland.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Ms. Sarah Onken.
Anyone else?
I think we're going to be kind of divided on this. I looked at the applications this is for seat number 3. I wanted to nominate Sarah Otkin for seat number 3. Looking at her resume, and even though I don't look at the years of how long you've been here, but if you're having somebody that wants to serve, I want to be able to make sure that we look at all factors on it end. So I'd like to be able to recommend her for seat number 3.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. For seat number 3, Sarah Onken.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second for Sarah Onken. Is there discussion on that? I didn't get a chance to make my nomination, but that's fine.
Go ahead.
Just make a vote. That's all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails.
Okay.
All right, my recommendation was going to be Neil Stegall, so I don't know how we go from here.
Well, we have 2 open seats,
Okay.
right?
You want to discuss any other? So do you have someone different in mind for seats, for the other seats that hasn't been brought forward? All right,
For seat 4, I was reviewing Julianne Orgish.
And for seat number 4, I would like to nominate Steve Delory.
I would still like to nominate Austin Sutherland, and not just because he's from here, but he is physically here. But I like the idea of having somebody on here that's from here and has a good idea of what Kyle wants. Not that I haven't voted prior to for people who I am an implant. Let me make sure everybody knows that I am not from Kyle, and I firmly support all, but the way he came up and spoke, and he mentioned things that mattered to me, and so I'm going to nominate him as well.
Okay. I'm also in favor of Steve Delory for the other seat. So far, I've heard 2 nominations for Sarah Onken and 2 nominations for Steve Delory. one for Austin Sutherland, one for Neil Stegall, and one for Julianne Orgish. Basically, the only way I can see this going is we all agree to go with the who has the, you know,
That's
two.
how it went. Whoever had the highest in slave, if we had two that had the majority, then we would, it was like a process of elimination, unfortunately.
Right, but we're just gonna have to, we're either just gonna have to agree on supporting the ones that has two, or we're just not gonna come to an agreement on it.
The fact that we have to be 3 seats open here, that's what's kind of making
It does make it tricky.
challenging right now.
And we still just we have 2 seats still open, right? Because we voted for 2, so we have 2 seats open.
So the top two that had we would have to decide,
Between Sarah Onken and Steve Delory, which have the 2.
but those are 2 seats that are open. We still have 2 that are open.
Yeah, we have two that are open, so we just went ahead and got all our names out for both of those two. Onken and Delory got two nominations each. Sutherland, Stegall, and Orgish got 1 each. And so that's the,
So if we decide to go with those 2 with your nomination, and then
we would just have to agree to that and then vote that through.
voted for 2 and 3,
Wait, so-
for 3 and 4, seats 3 and
Right.
4.
So who do we have? Who are the top 2 right now?
Onken and Delory.
Uncan, we took a vote on that, didn't we?
No. We took a vote on, yes, we took a
We
vote
did.
on Onken,
For
yes.
C3.
Right, because Onken received 2 nominations immediately.
Okay, so for seat 3, so she would be seat 4. That's what we could nominate her for, correct?
Yes.
And then Steve Delory would be
Seat 4.
seat 4, okay, so.
Yeah, it's 3 and 4.
Well, it has to be a specific motion, so if we do it
Right.
for 4, then,
Well, I would probably want to do it in one motion and vote, because one affects the other for me.
Pretty much.
is Steve Delory here? I do appreciate when the members show up, and I'd like to take that in consideration for myself.
He's not.
He's not, okay. Well, I also like Mary Landrum as well. So I'd like to see her maybe in seat 3.
Mayor, do you mind if I call Sarah Ogden up to the podium for a question?
Sure.
As you can see, your name's been brought up, okay? One of my questions is that, what is it that what are the challenges that you would see on being on P&Z that you would be able to help filter through, that you see right now as far as the way the board is, if it's going well? What do you see in the next year coming up in your point of view?
So I've watched a few of the Planning and Zoning Commission recordings online, and I did enjoy the dialogue that the group had. They were outspoken about ideas for how the spaces would be used, architecturally, how they would look for people, and given that there are going to be 2 new people sitting on the board, I think it's important that we continue that tradition of being vocal and being engaged. I think challenges that are going to come up in the next year are going to be that land is going to be developed. You know, people are going to want to take advantage of the open spaces we've got, and I think it's smart to have people who are going to be patient and to wait for the right thing for that space instead of being maybe a bit hasty to just get it done and to have something there and start using it. Because once something is built, you know, the life cycle of most things here is probably going to be 30, 40 years. That's a long time, and we want to make sure that what we do is the best use.
Good.
I just have a question. Why do you think there are so many undeveloped spaces in Kyle?
I live close to Stagecoach Crossing, so I drive from Austin for work all the way down here quite often, and I drive by a lot of places that are being developed, and I'm also driving by a lot of signs for rezoning meetings. So I think there's just a lot of empty spaces that are trying to get filled in right now, and want to do it smart.
I would like to make a motion to approve Sarah Onken for seat 4 for planning and zoning.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Flores Kale, seconded by Councilmember Tobias. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion fails 3-1. I want to put them together.
Okay.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I appreciate Sarah Unken is a resident that is engaged. She emails me quite often, pays attention to the city council meetings, and she has been present in the meetings. So that I think that is to the advantage of the planning and zoning to have residents that are engaged. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. We got to agree on both if we're going to be able to move forward. I just don't see us agreeing on the next one if we don't agree on this one as well. So I would make a motion to approve Sarah Onken for seat number 3 and Steve DeLore for seat number 4.
She already filled for seat number 3.
What's that?
We took a vote and she failed for seat
So she will
3.
have to be seat number 4, and Steve DeLore
She
is
had,
seat
yes,
number 3.
we already voted for her twice. You denied her twice. I mean, I denied her the first time and you denied it the second. So she is not eligible for anyone.
So long as a vote doesn't receive 4 nays, it can be reconsidered for any item.
Okay,
It's
well,
in the rules of council.
that's a whole different process, though.
Yeah, I don't know where so we can vote on anyone, anytime. So there's a motion and a second. So unless it's dismissed with prejudice or something along those lines.
Okay, so can you repeat the motion?
The motion is to approve Sarah Onken for seat number 3 and Steve DeLore for seat number 4.
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion?
Okay, and to confirm, Steve DeLore is not here.
He is not.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, what do y'all want to do?
It's kind of the same process we had said before, Mayor, is that, when we have these boards and commissions, that if the people are here and we were able to answer the questions, because I think that's what we had problems in the past, where we were just reappointing individuals and not really being able to interact with them on the questions, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I've been very vocal about my belief on this process of doing interviews in front of large groups as opposed to the way that it was, where we had a panel of interviews. We're allowed to interview each and every person, ask them the same questions, and get to know them. As it is, I appreciate folks coming up and giving a couple minutes. This is not an interview panel for us to bring people up and interview them to try to make those decisions. I read through the applications, and I felt like Mr. DeLore's application stood out strongly. So as a result, I was willing to support him. And so that's just sort of my opinion. I do not fault anyone for not being here. I wish no one was here, so personally, but.
Mayor and council, just to clarify, the policy does state that the applicants are encouraged but not required to attend this special meeting.
That is correct. We
Agreed.
had that discussion at length when we made this policy.
Okay, if you want to remake your motion, Mayor, I'll support it.
We're not going to fill them. She's not going to support it, so.
I mean, it's not a requirement. I'm not saying I'm doing it because he broke any of the policies or procedures. It's my personal belief. If you
Right.
can't be here when you're nominated, I need to make sure you're going to be at the meetings. So for me, it correlates.
Well, if the applicants receive notification that they were not required to come to the meeting,
Exactly. Yeah, you can be told you don't have to come. I'm not saying they were told they had to come and then he didn't show up. I'm just saying if it's an option, I take that into consideration.
could we make a separate motion for seat number 4? Again? Or,
For which one?
can we motion Ms. Sarah Onken separately? Or would you like to make the two motions together? Do we have to make them together?
Well, I don't know that we're going to come to an agreement, because based on what we all looked at, we both agreed, the majority of us agreed on those two candidates. And if we push one forward and not the other, then how are we gonna fill the second seat? So it's a situation where we're not gonna fill this second seat, and I just don't wanna do it that way, personally. So I want us to all have to compromise and agree on things. Ms. Unken was not my second choice. So I'm compromising on her as an applicant, but I believe that Delory is a good fit to go with her as a combo unit, personally. So.
I mean, I totally understand, just like I wanted Austin Sutherland to even have an opportunity. And so it's one of those where we all have to figure out how we're gonna compromise.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm putting compromise into this vote already, as far as the way I see it.
Yeah,
And
as am
I
I.
felt that from Councilmember Tobias, but it's a situation where if you're not gonna compromise in this way, then, and I understand these are neither of yours. That's why, so it's your vote, so
So can we look to other people? It looks like we don't have to be stuck on just those two. Is there anybody else that we can all four agree on?
So for the record, Ms. Onken is not on a seat
No.
at this time?
correct.
Not
Okay.
at this time.
My nominee was Neil Stegall. That's who I thought I wanted to put on, based on, as well as Steve Delory. So it's just one of those things. They received, Delory and Onken received two nominations. So we all have to agree on it, or it's not going to move forward.
I agree on Neil. I could vote on Neil.
I can agree on Neil.
Make a motion to approve Sarah Onken for seat 3 and Neil Stegall for
Second.
seat 4. Motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Flores Cale. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 4-0. All right, we're going to move to PARD. Nominations. And how many seats do we have on PARD? Let's just go back.
2.
2 seats. All right.
And can I make a suggestion
Sure.
for the 2 seats? So I would like, let me just go back to see what the numbers of the seats are. I would like to make a nomination for seat number 2 for Mr. James Stanfield, and for seat number 6, I believe is the next one. It will be Julia Fishback.
Second.
Mine,
Councilmember Tobias.
for the part, mine would also be Miss Julia Fishback, by reading her application as well. And then also Julia Orgish.
Those are my 2.
So we have 2 and 2.
Councilmember Flores Cale, do you have any?
I think we both agree, we all agree on Fishback, is that correct? Okay, so then my other option, we have Julianne Orgish. I would vote Julianne Orgish as well.
Make a motion to approve for the Parks and Rec Board seat, for seat number 2, Julia Fishback, and for seat number 6, Julie Orgish.
Second.
Motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Tobias. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next up, Library Board.
This is the fun one.
I think did we have questions on this one?
For the library,
Yeah, just, maybe it's a different one. I just wanted to confirm everybody who was eligible, I think. I could be wrong. Let me see, library. No, I think we're good.
Councilmember Flourskill, you did have a question about an applicant for the Parks and Rec Board. And requirement of the Parks and Rec Board is to live in the city of Kyle, and that particular applicant lives in the ETJ, not in the city limits.
Okay.
All right, we're at the library board. Does anybody have nominations?
I'd like to nominate Joy Torres for, let's see what the seats are open, I'm sorry.
Four
For
seats.
seat 1.
Do you have other nominations? Let's get them all out there.
All out there. Okay, so there's a reappointment. I would like to nominate her as well.
Oh, we have all right, hang on, actually. So we do have one reappointment on the library board and then 3 opens. Let's take the reappointment first.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to reappoint Jessica Robinson to the library board.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Flores-Kale, seconded by Councilmember Tobias, that we reappoint Jessica Robinson to the library board. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries.
So that would be seat number 1? Or what seat did she
Yes.
have? Seat 1.
Yeah, she has 1.
So seat 1 has been
So
reappointed.
yeah, 3, 5, and 7. And so one of those, your nomination is Joy Torres.
Correct.
Do you,
I'd like-
you want to go ahead and make some
Sure,
more?
I'd like Torres, Landrum. And then I'm open to the other one.
Okay. Councilmember Parsley.
I would like to nominate Mr. Bruce Richard, Joy Torres, and Spencer Copeland.
Okay. Councilmember Tobias.
Reappointment on Robinson.
Right.
Okay. My first one was Torres as well. Daniela Sparrow. And then Mr. Spencer Copeland. Or, yeah.
All right, so I have 3 for Torres and 2 for Copeland.
I could do Copeland. I would do Copeland.
All right, so we're appointing for,
We just need one more.
we'll just need one more. Do y'all want to go ahead and take those 2?
Sure, I would like to make a motion to nominate Joy Torres to seat 3 and Spencer Copeland to seat 5.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Flores-Kale, seconded by Councilmember Parsley, that we appoint Joy Torres to seat number 3 and Spencer Copeland to seat number 5 to Parks and, or to the Library Board. This isn't nomination, right? This is appointment. It doesn't go to the council? It's done at this
Yes,
point?
this would be done.
All right, so do you want to amend to say
Okay, yes,
appoint?
sorry. I'd like to amend my motion to appoint Joy Torres to seat 3 of the Library Board and Spencer Copeland to seat 5.
Second.
All right, so motion by Councilmember Flores-Kale, seconded by Councilmember Parsley, is to appoint Joy Torres and Spencer Copeland. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we have, for the final, we have Bruce Richard, Daniela Sparrow, and Mary Landrum. Is anybody, I can go with any of them, frankly. So what I'm just needing is just basically 2 of y'all to agree on one of them.
I know that Miss Susan Reyna used to be on the library board, and she strongly advocated for Mr. Bruce Richards. So I know I have known her for a long time. I know she is a really library lover. So that's why I would like to suggest that Mr. Bruce Richard be on the board. I know he's not here. I believe he's not here, but.
Yeah, and I was a little concerned with his application. I just wanted to make sure he was applying for the right position, because his cover letter actually specifically states a city manager or assistant city manager. So I don't know if anybody else noticed that. And maybe we can just, when we ask for applications and resumes, we can make it not just work-related, but maybe volunteer-related to the position.
Do you have a different person that you would agree to, or you're just still with your?
I like Mary Landrum.
And then Councilmember Tobias, you were with Sparrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see.
Um,
What about you, Mayor?
You are both
Library. Hold on.
I'm trying to go back through it. So
I can go with Sparrow too. I had her second in here.
does anybody want to voice their reasoning for Sparrow?
By looking at her resume, she does have young children. She does go to the library quite often. She showed that she sees that not only she enjoys it, but there is also some improvements in some of the areas. And she was willing to be able to be on the board, to be able to provide suggestions and support to improve our library. And I know right now we're still getting our interim director in. So looking at it just kind of sparked me that she would be wanting to basically give a lot more input. And she also attends story time and a lot of the children programming. So that's somebody that I see that goes to the library quite often and may see a lot of things that are working well, but also wants to give some feedback on how to make improvements as well and bring more programming. And with the other board members, would be able to work well with.
I would agree with Councilmember Tobias. I do see that she goes to the library quite often, and being, when my younger times when my kids were little, I would spend all my time in the library. So I think that somebody that is facing on a daily basis, using those resources, you probably have better suggestions. So I would like to see her on the library board.
I don't believe she's here though, right?
She's not here, and I don't see her resume. Did I not get a resume? I saw her application, and there's like a cover letter, but I didn't see a resume. I just want to make sure I'm receiving the same information as everybody else. Is there a reason why we would not want to appoint Mary Landrum?
Sparrow's application is in the backup.
Yeah, the application, he said resume, though. I just wanted to make sure. I
Oh.
mean, they all have applications.
Right.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing additional information.
You say Maria Langford?
Mary Landrum is,
I can support her as well. I mean, everybody's great. That's the thing. Everybody's great.
they are. And it looks like she's part of the Team Kyle Academy, which I really
Yes.
like. Her resume was pretty stellar.
Yeah, I was going to go with you on that one. So that was my opinion as well.
I can
I can
support.
go with Mary Landrum. Yeah.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to appoint Mary Landrum to seat 7 of the library board.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Flores Kale, seconded by Councilmember Tobias to appoint Mary Landrum to seat 7 of the library board. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed. Motion carries 4-0.
Congratulations, library board. It's gonna be a great year. Thank you very much for your service.
All right, next up is economic development and tourism. There are questions about this board just in general. I think you said you wanted to postpone these items.
Yeah, can I postpone that one?
Yeah, I think we need to have a larger discussion at the council level about this board in particular, how we go about making those nominations. I think there was some confusion between whether or not they were going to follow this process or not. Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo was thinking that we had taken action, so was I, to have them maintained through the traditional process, and we at least need to take that up at council and discuss it. So we can leave these open and then deal with it down the road if there are no objections. Councilor Tobias.
So with those discussions, was there any particular type of dialogue or details about it, just for
The
me?
Economic Development Board is so different than these other boards, and so each position is industry-specific, and a lot of times those are positions that are recruited directly by the Economic Development Director to fill those particular seats. And so that process that they have that's outlined is just a different process than what we are dealing with here. And so we can have a discussion about whether we want it to maintain the same or whether we want to have a new process. But as of right now, I just don't think, I think the reason the applications are the way they are is because in part it's one side and in part it's the other. We've got just regular applications coming through, and a lot of them are probably being disqualified because they don't fit a particular industry profile, which is how we originally set up the board. And so I just want to have that discussion.
So-
I really like the way that
Yeah.
it was set up initially.
So it would be like breaking down into 5 areas, or let's say 4 areas. Okay, so let's say what? Example, entertainment.
Right.
Okay, retail, tourism.
Large business,
large
small business,
small
those kind of things.
business.
Yes.
And it would also would be adding possibly downtown alliance kind of deal, or working with other groups like
And then
the
we have,
Chamber of
we have
Commerce.
ex officio officers, like a member of the school district, like Dr. Wright, for example.
Okay.
Or someone from ACC would sit on that board as well. It's just a different board structure than all of the rest of our boards, which are resident-focused and, you know,
Because
just,
it's under
you know,
the economic umbrella.
Correct.
Whether it's education, the schools, businesses, small businesses, any entertainment, any tourism, and anything else that has to do with also maybe like nonprofits or things like that, or that
mean,
could be left.
Sorry, as
I'm
it
just trying
stands
to
right
get
now,
an-
no, it specifically tells us which one we need. We need right now the tourism representative, the developer, the industry, major employer, and the like healthcare. So we know what we need, but I think the process is in question, because as it is
Right.
now,
It's
it's
a
supposed
process
to follow
question.
everything.
Right.
But there's been some
Because I don't want to
filling.
put Tony and Eddie back on the board through this process if we're going to follow a different process to do it. I would like for that to come directly from the Economic Development Director on the agenda as a nomination for the whole council to consider.
So would that be something, Victoria, like, will we do it as far as seats? Like tourism seat, the small business seat, the big business, or whatever it is?
That's correct. Victoria Vargas, Interim Director of Economic Development, for the record. The mayor is correct. We specifically created this board to where the applicants did not have to be residents of Kyle, because we are picking them from those local industry, healthcare, workforce development, higher education, and that is the way we would like to continue to run the board that way. So we can bring forth the nominations and with applications from each one of them, and also resumes so that you can thoroughly vet them. And that's something that our board also, our board chair and vice chair, we also interview the applicants and make recommendations as well.
And a formal request to exempt yourself from the boards and commissions policies. That's the
Yes,
other
we
thing
can-
we need
okay.
clarity on.
Mhm.
So if you want to bring that at the next meeting too,
I will.
we can do that.
So like the applicants would, you're saying that they wouldn't live in the city, they'd be outside the city, not somebody?
Right, they are stakeholders, so let's just say we have a seat reserved for a local utility provider, which is, could be PEC. Currently, it's PEC. And the representative lives in a different city, in Johnson City, but yet she travels here for our meetings because she has a stake in this community.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's not citizen appointed?
No, that's why this board is very unique and different.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at, to like if somebody applied that says, I want to be part of the tourism group, or I want to be
Right.
part of the small business, you know, or I'm a business person here, or whatever it is, or just have the experience in that. It's
For
not,
instance,
not going that route.
Mr. Eddie Brown that you heard from earlier, he does not live in Kyle, but he has a business and a vested interest in this community.
We can discuss it when we
Okay.
actually bring the items
That's fine.
forward. So,
That's,
and,
thank you
know,
for clarifying.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to the Arts Commission.
So did Did we
Do we
get
get-
the
yeah.
information on whether these people were eligible?
So the Arts Commission is similar to the Economic Development Board in that there's a question as to whether they have a significant presence in the Kyle community. And I think that's the process question that staff struggles with because is staff supposed to vet that out? Some of the applicants did not complete the answer to that question. And so staff deemed them ineligible because they didn't complete it. And so it's I guess it's subjective and would be up to council as to whether you all consider them to have a significant presence in Kyle and to have met that requirement.
Wait, you want us to tell you if live in the city? Or this says, okay, so it should be fairly easy. It says we need to appoint somebody who owns or employed in a business within the city limits or the ETJ. So if we have their address, there's no reason why the city can't just go.
I'm not speaking about the address question. I'm speaking about a significant presence in the Kyle community.
So it's they have to live in the city or the ETJ or have a significant presence.
Right.
So technically is that right? There's
Right.
three ors
So
there.
the significant presence question is the one that I guess staff is struggling to verify and answer. HR is struggling, and then I guess it would be back on the board and commission liaison to try and vet that. But it also comes down to whether council feels that requirement has been met as well.
So I guess I would ask what questions are on the application that would help council decide if they have a significant presence or not.
Well, the question is on the application, but some of them don't answer that question.
And so all the
And
ones
if
that
they
say
don't answer
unknown.
it, right.
Okay, so they haven't answered it. So, I mean, clearly we can't vote for that or
So
nominate it.
then that means there is only
There's
one.
only one. And it says, I believe her business experience is in Kyle, not necessarily related to the arts. So I guess we need to figure out if that matters too.
Gerald Curtin, he's retired. He has the fused glass art business, Whippoorwill Dreams, and he lives within the Kyle ETJ.
But he didn't answer the question.
He did. He's eligible, but there were other applicants that, I believe, Umberto and Victoria Freitas. They did not answer the question.
Okay, I don't even have Umberto on my spreadsheet.
I didn't have it either.
So and then Heather Massey, it says, when it asks about eligible, it says unknown. Heather Massey, unknown. Umberto, unknown.
I think.
Yeah, the only one that I have a yes for is Belinda Puntanen.
Let's see.
So, you said that one of them didn't answer the question. What was the question again that was not answered? Because if it's.
Whether or not they have a significant presence.
I believe our applicant is here, we could ask.
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Freitas, if you don't mind.
And I will be completely honest, it was probably one of the most confusing application processes. I think a lot of us can agree. I do have a significant presence here. I live here. I've lived here for over a year. I work here. I work out of my home. I'm here all day, every day. My employer has an address outside of Hayes, but they are a Texas company.
Yeah, I don't think that matters. So you live here in the city
I
of
do.
Kyle.
Well, no, it does matter.
It does?
It says the appointee shall own or be employed in a business.
Yes.
Within the city limits. But if they're based out of a different state, but are they like registered at the Secretary of State? Here in
They are,
Texas?
and
Okay.
actually, I hold several financial industries licenses, and all my licenses are registered through them, but to my home address. So that technically, I have a business through them, my address.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
And to clarify, for this particular seat on the Arts Commission, it's a business community representative. So that's why this seat was asking
Oh,
for that
the
information.
Arts Commission seats have different
They-
different focuses
Like
based on the
economic
seat, like
development.
ED&T.
That's kind of why I was bringing up the Economic Development Board. If one person is going to be seat one, that would be for entertainment.
Yeah.
The other one would be two, would be for tourism and so forth.
That's exactly what this is.
This one, Arts Commission's brand new. It's a work in progress, so we're trying to sort through that.
So if I could ask specifically, when it came to the application process, you said it was kind of confusing. Could you just give a little example of what it was so that way we can have some feedback, just small feedback?
Yes, so first of all, it was confusing as to what are community members versus business members that are appointed to the board. I think that's the first step, because I do believe, and I think a lot of people in this room would attest to this, that you don't have to have that one specific business experience to still want to serve Kyle and have relevant experience. So I do think there was confusion with that as well. I think the way the questions were worded were very confusing, like presence. You know, if you live here and work here, that's presence, so why would you ask it again? And if there was
Okay.
a specific reason for that, it would need to be clarified. I also, since you gave me the floor and allowed me to answer it, I'm not quite sure that all the questions really are asked at a level that all community members could understand. And I think that you do need diversity and inclusion on your boards. And I think that what's out there in the Kyle community should be represented on the boards and on the council and throughout everywhere that makes decisions. And I think sometimes because of the way the application is worded, it's extremely complicated, it could shut people out. You know, for instance, not having a resume. Well, maybe you just don't know how to do that. But it doesn't mean that you're not a great community member that wouldn't provide a great insight and collaboration on a board.
Great, thank you.
I appreciate the
I love
feedback,
that
yeah.
feedback.
Love
Can we
that
make
answer.
sure that we note that? And then maybe Jerry or Amber, what we could do is send up follow-up, like the people who do apply, follow up, like how did it go? How did you like it? To the applicants so they can give us additional feedback, because it is most appreciated.
That's one of my passions.
Well, appreciate it very much, because that's the whole key of this, is to be able to bring the citizens to these boards and commissions, because we need their voice, we need your opinion, we need your suggestions, especially if you've been here a year, if you lived here 20 years. That's the feedback that council needs, so that way we can be able to make these decisions and get a diverse and also get more feedback as much as possible from so many people in different areas and different areas of town. There's a lot of people that live over there in East Kyle, in West Kyle, in North, and we want to be able to incorporate that, because our city, as you can see, this is Sunday morning, and I have not seen that traffic slow down one bit. That tells you that more's coming, and we need to be able to, now's the opportunity for us to be able to start building on that and give and allow everybody here to have that voice and that say, because this is your town, your cities just as well. Thank you.
So we just have one seat to fill on the Arts Commission?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Florescale.
I just wanted to make a motion to approve Belinda.
No.
Oh, no,
Victoria.
Victoria Freitas.
Yes.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Florescale, seconded by Councilmember Parsley, that we approve Victoria Freitas to the seat 7 of the Arts Commission. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you, everybody, for applying.